So after walking through all the data types, we are still left with one, if you remember that I promised to tell you later. So here I am with that data type that is called symbols. So in this video, we will be discussing about why we need symbols and how we can write them inside our codes. So without wasting time, let's get started. Hey coders, this is Neha from WebStack. Welcome to the 7th episode of this JavaScript series. So before getting started, if you are new here, make sure you click that subscribe button and hit the bell so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Now talking about symbols, it is included in ES6 as a primitive data type in JavaScript recently, and most of us may find it difficult and confusing, but actually it's not. So you will have a pretty clear idea about what symbols are and why we use them by the time you finish this video. So watch the video till the end. Now let's first see what actually is symbol data type. So it is a primitive data type which is introduced in JS6 as we have already seen, and it is a unique identifier which cannot be recreated. So it is a special identifier which we have in this JavaScript, which sometimes is used for the name resolution as well and many more. So let's move into our VS Code and write this code down. Now let's see how we can create symbol inside this JavaScript file. So I will be simply writing const keyword here to define a symbol, and you can give any variable name. So let me just give the variable name as S1. So illogical, but yes, simple. So I'll be giving S1, and then to declare or to create the variable, you have to use a symbol constructor here. So yes, it is a constructor. If you are thinking of the constructor with the new keywords, so yes, you are thinking it right, but in symbol case, we do not write the new keyword. So basically you can say that this is a kind of incomplete constructor that we are having. So let's try to print out the type of this variable. So I'll simply just write type of and then S1. So you can see it is giving me the type as symbol. And let's try to print it now. It is simply giving me symbol. So that represents that the symbol constructor is actually creating it. And behind the scenes, what is happening? It is just giving me a large value that is unique and which will not be repeated anytime I create a new variable as well. So this is what is happening, but the funny part about this symbol is that you never get to access this value anywhere in your program. So now let's try to create one more variable for the symbol, and let's try to compare those variables. Oops, my mistake. So simply I'll just try to compare these two variables like this, S1 triple equals to S2. So this triple equals to actually just matches your data types as well, just to be sure. So as you can see here, we are getting false. So that means symbol, no matter how many times you are using this, every time it will be creating some unique value like this. So let me tell you one more way or the variant through which you can create these symbols. So to create the symbols, we can also use something called descriptions inside it. So let's say I'm creating const S3, and then you will provide the constructor, and inside the constructor we can provide some string here. As you can see in this hint part, it is giving me the description as an optional parameter. So let's say this is a third symbol. So if I just save it and try to print this, let's see what is the difference as compared to the previous ones. So I'll simply just print this out, and you can see it is still giving me the symbol constructor, but it is telling me that this is a third symbol. This value, third symbol, has nothing to do with your variable. It is just a description that you are providing to this S3 and nothing else. So even if I create one more constant variable with the same description, let's say I create a variable S4 and I just give here the same thing, that is third, let's say symbol. I want to give the same string, and now I want to check whether they are equal or not. So let's say S3 triple equals to S4. Now if you see, it is still giving me false. So that simply means that this value which you are providing as a description, it has nothing, or it is not associated with that variable anyhow in your program. So this is simply, you can say, it is used for some debugging purposes where you want to know which symbol you are using and all that stuff. So you can use this kind of declaration of symbols. Now that we have seen this part, I'm pretty sure that you must be thinking, if we can't access the value of the symbol, why the heck we are using this symbol, and why ES6 has messed up with this primitive data types which were really easy to use and all sort of stuff. So here is the MDN website documentation which shows you that the symbol is actually used as identifier for the object properties. So when you are creating objects, you can use this as the properties, and if you see this statement, it simply says this is the only purpose of this data type. How lame. So let's go on to the VS Code again and see how we can use it as an object property. Now let's create an object here. So if I'm having an object called person, and inside it I'm storing the name of the person, let's say, I need to write it as a key and value pair. So if I write the name as, let's say, Harsh or something, and then I provide the age as well, let's say 20. And after that, I'll also provide the city. Let's say it's Jalandhar or something. So I'll be keeping it as Jalandhar. So let's say I just try to change the property of this object. So if I just want to change the name, so I'll just change the name to something else. Let's say Jatin. So if I just try to print this object here, let's try to print this like this. You can see it is giving me this object in which age, city and name is getting printed, and the name has been changed. So to avoid this kind of confusion where you are just defining this name again somewhere in the code, it might happen that developer may not know that he is changing the value. So you can use a symbol as a property inside your object, which will actually be used as unique property. Let's create a symbol here. So I'll simply write const name equals to, and then we'll write symbol constructor, and let's try to write the description out here. So I'll simply write person name. This has nothing to do with the value, just to make sure that you know this. And now when I'm printing this person, you can still see that name is getting printed as Jatin, because this is not how you write the property as a symbol. You simply need to use square brackets around it, and that's it. Now you can see the data which we are getting here as an object. You can see we are getting age, city, name. This name is a different key that is giving me the value as Jatin, and you can see here we have one more key which is actually saying this is a person name, and it is printing me Harsh. So this value is not changed, but we are just adding a new key when we are trying to change that name. So originally the idea of using the symbols was actually because of its private properties, but now that whole thing is kind of scrapped because we can just access it. If I show you here, we have something called object, and if I just write object.getOwnPropertyNames and I give this function, and inside this let me just give the object name, that is person, and you can see here we are getting a kind of array in which we have age, city, name. So it is not giving me this name, actually it is giving me this person name. Let me comment this out, and if I save it now, it is simply giving me two elements, that is age and city. So for accessing these symbols, we have a different property here, a method that is called getOwnProperty symbol. So you can see here now it is giving me only the symbol thing, that is name. So that's how these symbols are used as object properties. You can use in React, Redux as well. So I'll not go into that part, that is kind of just out of scope for this videos of JavaScript. Now there is a part where you can also just give the same values to two variables. So let's see how is that possible. So I'll simply just create a variable here, let's say sim1, and let's just write symbol dot, there is a method called for. So if I use this for, you can see that it is actually taking a string and it is returning a symbol object from the global registry. So global registry simply means that you are storing the variable in a global scope. So if I just write here, let's say symbol1, and then I'll just try to print this out. So you can see it is giving me the same thing we used to get earlier, but what it actually does behind the scenes is it just checks for this description, this symbol, and if the variable is already created, then it will just copy the value. Otherwise, it will create a new value or a unique value again. So let me just create one more variable here to show this cause. So I'll just write sim2 and then symbol.for again. And inside it, let's just write symbol1 again. So if I try to print or to just see whether they are equal or not, let's write triple equals to here. Oops, I need to write here the same thing, same description. Now you can see that it is giving me true here. So that means by using this for, we can just share the symbols among various files, and this is actually called global registry. Now let's say you want to retrieve this key. So you can do that with the help of key for. So I'll write console.log here, and then I'll simply use symbol.key4 because I want to fetch like which key is used for that symbol. So I'll simply write key for sim1. So if I write that, you can see that it is giving me the key as sim1. So you can always fetch the key for that variable as well. So this is the key, which is actually a description that we are providing inside the parentheses. Similarly, if I check for this sim2, it will give me the same description value. So this is pretty much it for the symbols, and I hope you like the video, and if you do, please give a thumbs up and do share it with your friends so that they can also get benefited from this series. So we'll see you in the next video.